talking for about the past month about this reality, right, that we are made to worship. And the truth of the matter is, Rainey, that I don't mean just us in this room, or even just Christians gathered throughout all of time and throughout all of the globe. Every single human being is made to worship. And you know this. See, every single human being is designed, it's hardwired in us to ask the questions, what am I supposed to do and how am I supposed to do it? Everybody. About everything. There is not a person in your world that you haven't had to say to you at some point, what am I supposed to do about? What am I supposed to do with? And then once they figure out that answer, well then how am I supposed to do it? See, we are made to want somebody or something that can answer that question. Because that's what worship is. Now worship is coming before the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords and saying, God, today, in this moment, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to do it? It's in us to ask that question. We are hardwired as a people to want something that we think is worth sacrificing everything for. It's in us. And if you want to know what yours is, open your checking account. Now, that should figure it out real quick. We are designed to want something that's bigger than us in this world. Something that we can turn to. Sometimes, Nancy, we want it to be us. And so we try to make us out like we're a whole lot bigger than we are. But we want something bigger than we are, of greater significance than we are, and we get to worship. And maybe if the reality is that we are hardwired to worship, then the truth is we're going to worship something. Someone. Every single one of us. Now, my guess is, because you're here on Sunday morning of Memorial Day weekend, that at least what we say is that the thing we worship is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. It is God Almighty manifest to us as Jesus Christ. The reality is, Ms. Michaela, that I can say I worship God, but you'll know what I worship by how I live. See, I can say that I worship God all that I want, but all you got to do is take one look at my life, and you won't even have to get to know me very well, and you'll figure out real quick, what do I actually worship? You see, one of the things that God has made is a principle, it's a truth, it will always take place, is that whatever I worship is what I display to the world. You can tell what I worship, and I can tell what you worship. And maybe more importantly, the people in our worlds who don't yet know the Lord Jesus Christ, they can tell who and what we actually worship. And maybe that's made most clear in the book of Exodus, chapter 32. If you're trying to find verse 34 of chapter 33, good luck. It's like typos this week. So open your Bibles, if you would. Exodus chapter 32. And let me set the stage for us where we're headed here. By the time we get to Exodus chapter 32, a whopping, maybe 3 months, that's it, maybe 3 months, has taken place since God delivered the people of Israel from Egypt, okay? Less than 3 months, not even a full season, not a full quarter of the year has passed since the Lord opened the Red Sea, since He defeated the Egyptian army, and He set His people free so that they could worship Him, okay? 3 whopping months. At this point, Moses is on top of Mount Sinai. It's somewhere towards the end of the 40 days that he spends at the top of Mount Sinai in the presence of God. And the thing of it is, if the people of Israel are at the bottom of Mount Sinai, they can look at the top of Mount Sinai and they can see the cloud of fire by night and cloud by day. They can see God, okay? And they're at the bottom of the mountain, and they know that less than 3 months ago, the Lord looked at them and said, you're going to be my priests. You're going to be the people who worship me and help other people to worship me. Laura, less than 3 months ago, the Lord looked at the people of Israel and He said, I'm the one who can answer the question, what are you supposed to do and how are you supposed to do it? That's it. And at the end of a whopping 3 months, they start to say, we're not so sure we actually want God to be the person that we put at the very center of our lives. They say that they want to worship Him, And the truth is, they don't actually desire to. So I want you to see what takes place. Exodus chapter 32, 3 months out, beginning at verse 1, says this. When the people saw that Moses was so long in coming down from the mountain, they gathered Aaron and they gathered around Aaron, right, Moses' older brother, and they said, "Come, make us gods who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses, who brought us up out of Egypt, well, we don't know what's happened to him." Aaron answered them, "Take off the gold earrings that your wives, your sons, and your daughters are wearing, and bring them to me." So all the people took off their earrings and brought them to Aaron. He took what they handed him, and he made it into an idol, cast in the shape of a calf, fashioning it with a tool. Then they said, "These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt." When Aaron saw this, he built an altar in front of the calf, and he announced, "Tomorrow there will be a festival to the Lord." So the next day the people rose early, and they sacrificed burnt offerings, presented fellowship offerings. Afterward they sat down to eat and drink, and they got up to indulge in revelry. Keep your finger there, because we're going to come back. But let's just unpack what's happened here so far, okay? People of Israel, 3 months out from the most powerful, uncreated being ever, delivering them, 3 months out, and they come to Aaron and say, "Could we maybe worship something other than God with you?" Right? 3 months out, they come and they say, "We would like to worship Yahweh. Sure. But could we maybe limit his power in our lives?" Right? There's a problem taking place here, right? I mean, Aaron builds this altar. To catch that, he builds an altar and he says, "We're going to have a time of worshiping and sacrificing and serving the Lord." And when you read in the Old Testament, the Lord in all caps, right? L-O-R-D in all caps. What that means is it's the Hebrew word Yahweh. So Aaron says, "Hey guys, let's all come together and we're going to worship the one true and living God, who is apparently this cow that we just made." That's stupid. Just want to throw that out there, okay? They say, "We worship the Lord who cannot be contained." But in reality, they've put something other than God in the center of their lives. And the stupidity gets even better, right? They come and they say, Aaron, can you make us gods? Make us gods. That doesn't go together. But can you make us gods? We want to be secure. So they do this. They say, "Aaron, can you make a god, this itty-bitty little thing of clay that I can hold in the palm of my hand, and I can see it, and I can touch it, and I put it in my back pocket if I so desire. Can you make me a god that I can hold in my hand so that I can feel secure? Instead of worshiping the God who's so big that he can hold not just them, but the entire universe in the palm of his hand." That's stupid. "Aaron, can you make us gods that will go before us?" The word "go before us," when it shows up elsewhere in the Old Testament, refers to a king or a general who goes in front of an army and he fights the battle, right? He fights on their behalf. So they're saying, we want somebody who will lead us. Could you do that for us? And he says, "Sure." And he makes the little calf and he forms it and he fashions it. And he says, "This, Chris, this is what's going to protect you and lead you in battle." Now think about this. It doesn't move. So if they want this stupid little cow to go in front of them and lead them and fight their battles, they got to put it on a cart and then they got to shove it. That's stupid. It's convenient. Cheryl, I bet that never goes any path they don't want to go on. What a coincidence. They say, "Aaron, we want power. Can you give us a God who will make us powerful?" And he says, sure, I can do that for you. Give me your gold. Because after all, the world in which we live says that the more gold you have, right, the more power you have. So they take their earrings and they take their necklaces and they melt it down, and they got this goofy little calf that they can hold in their hand, and they got to shove around on a cart, and they cover it with their gold. And they put it in the center of their lives and say, "Now we're powerful." If you backed up in the book of Exodus, you remember, right? And you do remember from your reading that God, the King of Kings, nothing. So that means that the very gold that they looked at to give their power was a gift from God to begin with. This is stupid. So the people of Israel, in these first 6 verses of Exodus 32, right, they come up with something other than God to worship. They make this little bitty idol. They make this lovely little cow. They cover it in gold. They stick it in front of an altar. And then they make the worst comment ever. Let's pretend we worship Yahweh. We're actually going to sacrifice to this cow. We actually think that this thing that we made is what gives us security and power, what's going to lead us into battle. But let's say out loud, we're here to worship Yahweh. I'd like to get really angry with them, but I do the same stupid stuff too. See, but here's the problem, Joe. Nobody is fooled when we put something at the center of our life that isn't God, but say we're worshiping God. Because whatever's at the center of my life, whatever I'm looking for security or power to lead me, whatever I put there, and I say, you're going to answer the question for me, what do I do, how do I do it, is what goes on display to the rest of the world. So I can say, I worship God. Just like the Israelites can say, we're here to worship Yahweh, but the whole world can see what is actually happening in their lives. To know that, we got to keep reading. So let's pick up in verse 7 of Exodus 32. Verse 7 says this, and the Lord said to Moses, go down, because your people, whom you brought up out of Egypt, have become corrupt. They've been quick to turn away from what I commanded them, and they have made themselves an idol, cast in the shape of a calf. They bowed down to it and sacrificed to it. See, God's not fooled. He knows they didn't bow down and sacrifice to him. They bowed down to it, sacrificed to it, and they've said, these are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt. I've seen these people, the Lord said to Moses, and they are a stiff-necked people. Pause there and jump over to verse 25. Verse 25 of Exodus 32, this is when Moses has come down off of the mountain. It says, Moses saw that the people were running wild, that Aaron had let them get out of control, and so become a laughingstock to their enemies. Let's just look at those two things, right? The Lord looks at the people of Israel who are claiming, we worship Yahweh. And he says, no, you're not. I am not what's at the center of your life. I'm not who you're sacrificing for. I'm not who you're looking to for leadership or direction. You're looking at that dumb cow. Moses comes down off the mountain, and he's watching the people, and he says, oh, I know for a fact that you're not worshiping the Lord. Because what they put on display is not the Lord. What they put on display is a cow. See, now, if you grew up a little bit country, just a little bit, so Julie is right on it, she knows. If you grew up just a little bit country, then you would read this passage the same way that the people of Israel did, who were shepherds and they hung out with animals all the time, right? You would know that the Lord is looking at the people of Israel, and he's not describing them in a pleasant way. He's not even describing them in a human way. He's describing them like livestock. So when God looks at the people of Israel, and he said, back at the beginning of that section, it says in verse 9, I've seen these people, and they are a stiff-necked people. The literal translation for that is they're in stubborn opposition. But it's a word picture, Linda. And it's a word picture that looks like this. So shame Matt's not here. He can tell you all about it. When you want to halter break a calf, you're going to teach them how to be led, or if in their context, right, you're going to want to tie them to a plow so that they could take care of your fields. This was before John Deere came along, right? Well, you live in the city, but you still know John Deere. That's good. You got to first halter break your calf, and the second that you try to take that calf and get it to come your direction, they stiffen every neck, every muscle in their neck. And they make their neck go so stiff and so straight that I don't care how big we can put Galen up there, you are not moving that thing. They dig their 4 little legs in, they stiffen their neck, and they get stubborn. The rest of the Old Testament, every single time give them a description. He'll say, you've become stiff-necked again. And every time you read that, I want you to get this picture in your mind. Because then every single time, God's calling them right back to this. And he says, you're displaying to the world what you worship. You say you worship me, and you look like the cow. You say you worship me, but the whole world can see in your stubborn obstinance that you don't look anything like me. You look like the thing you actually worship. And it's no different when Moses comes down off the mountain, right? Verse 25, he comes down off the mountain, and Mr. Chris, if you would get us a little video going here. When he comes down off the mountain, he says, he looks at the people, and he said, they're going crazy, they're running wild. And they become laughing. We can kill this down. Maybe we can. Here we go. This is what they look like. He says they're coming down off the mountain, and he looks at the people of Israel. He says they're running wild. They're going crazy. They look like brute beasts. They look like animals out running and kicking. You know, it's kind of cute when cows do that. It's not cute when people do that.
Amen.
It's not cute when people begin to run wild, and that cow gets some pretty impressive air time there. You get anywhere near him and you're going to the hospital. He kicks you in the wrong place and you're going to the morgue. Were you a child? I grew up country. My mom's side of the family raises these things, and they've ended up in the ER, and they've ended up very seriously injured because that's what happens when a cow goes crazy. Moses comes down off the mountain and he looks at the people, and the language he uses is the same language that God uses. He looks at them and says, you say that you're worshiping the Lord, but the reality is you're displaying the same characteristics as what you actually worship. They've become the cow. That's a pretty poor exchange. But more importantly, it's to find their character. It's to find the way that they're seen. Moses says that they're enemies, right? So the nations around them look at the people of Israel and hear the people of Israel say, oh, you should worship our God. But they are as obstinate and as wild as a beast. And so the nations look at him and say, why would we want anything to do with your God? You look just like us. You know, this passage of Scripture, though, has a pretty incredible contrast in the person of Moses. You see, unlike the rest of the people, unlike the Israelites, Moses didn't just say that the Lord was the center of his life. He didn't just say, I come to the Lord and I want God to be the center of my marriage, God to be the center of my work, God to be the center of my everything. Moses meant it. And he puts God at the center of his life. And because Moses puts God at the center of his life, he displays God. Just like the people of Israel don't. So jump over, if you would, to chapter 34. Chapter 34, we're going to pick up at verse 29. Chapter 34, verse 29 says this, when Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the testimony in his hands, he was not aware that his face was radiant because he had spoken with the Lord. When Aaron and all the Israelites saw Moses, his face was radiant, and they were afraid to come near him. But Moses called to them, so Aaron and all the leaders of the community came back to him, and he spoke to them. Afterward, all the Israelites came near him, and he gave them all the commands the Lord had given him on Mount Sinai. You had to picture that. Jamie, Moses has been literally in the presence of God, in the presence of the one who is radiant, and the one whose glory is so bright that our human eyes can't handle it. He has been worshiping God with him at the very center of his life, and when he comes down off the mountain, and I love this part, he's changed. And he doesn't even know it. He's been in God's presence for so long. He's been worshiping the Lord for such an intense part of his life that he doesn't even notice anymore, but he's not the same. They do. They take one look at him and they see reflected in his face the glory of God. The Hebrew says his skin shone the glory of God. I don't know what that's like. I kind of get a mental image of like radioactive Moses. think that's probably irreverent. But something about Moses physically reflected the bright glory of our perfect and holy God. So when people looked at him and he said, I worship Yahweh, there wasn't any question. Because they looked at this man and he displayed the goodness and he displayed the light. He displayed the glory of the one that he put at the center of his life. That's what I want. Now, initially, his brother, the Israelites, they were scared, right? They looked at him and said, we don't know what happened to you, but you're not the same. And he said, you're right, I'm not. I put God at the center of my life, and he is changing me. And pretty soon, Aaron's coming back to him, the Israelites are coming back to him, and he has the opportunity to say to them, this is who God is. And they can look at him. He's the living display of a God who can bring actual change. Now, that's quite the contrast, guys. We look at the Israelites, and we see stiff-necked roots. They got a cow at the center of their life, and they look like it. That's the only thing they're displaying to the world, no matter what they might say with their words. And we got Moses, who says, I worship the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And when they look at him, they know that he does. Look at this passage of Scripture, friends. I think it pushes a choice. Because the reality is that you and I, we worship something and someone. There's someone that's at the center of our lives. And I know and you know who it actually is. I pray that it's the Lord. And I pray that people look at our lives and they say, I see Jesus when I look at you. But I don't want any of us, including myself, to be fooled into thinking that if I say I worship the Lord, but something else is at the center of my life, the rest of the world can't tell. So let's get nitty-gritty. If I say that Jesus is my source of comfort, that Jesus is my reward, but if at the end of a really difficult day, and I need comfort, there was way too many snarky emails that came in. Your boss showed up and dumped more work on you than they gave to anybody else. The test results came back and they weren't what you wanted them to be. If at the end of the stress-filled day, the only thing that I can think about is the pint of ice cream, the bottle of wine, guess what is actually my comfort? It's not Jesus. And I can say that he is. I can tell my family that he is. I can tell my friends that he is. But if every time my friend is stressed out and is having a difficult time, I send them a text that says, I'll be there with a bottle, give me a minute. Then I've communicated to my friend, I hold right here and I can buy it at the liquor store, your source of comfort. Not, I hold right here and you can know him, your source of comfort. Parents are always amazed when 25 years later they say, I raised my kid in church. I don't understand why they don't turn to Jesus for comfort. And I say, did you? Nope. But if I turn to Jesus for my comfort, if I look to him as my great reward, I say, man, everything has went really well today. I got the account. I aced that test. This thing that I desperately needed to come together actually came together. And my first instinct is not, so how can I celebrate that with food or drink or alcohol? But instead to say, Jesus, I'm going to give you praise and honor and glory for what you did. Not my those wrongs. But I'm going to give that to the Lord. Then I put Jesus at the center. And did you know the people around me can tell? Because whatever I worship is what I display. If I say that Jesus is my source of security, he is the strong refuge to which I run. When life is going difficult, when I think of an uncertain future, I can turn it over to the Lord and I say, he's my refuge. But as soon as I start to think about that uncertain future, I open my bank account and I start crunching all the numbers and I start trying to figure out, is there enough in there? Am I actually going to be okay? Guess what the center of my life actually is? It's that bank account. It's how much money do I have in there? It's looking at that and saying, this is my source of security. This is my strong refuge. I need just a little bit more. Your world's going to figure that out really quickly. It's going to figure it out really quickly because that's what our family watches us do. Your coworkers are going to figure that out really quickly because they're going to come and say, over lunchtime, We can keep going, right? For some of us, frankly, the center of our life is our entertainment. You can tell this real simple, right? It works like this. What do you schedule your entire day around? You schedule your entire day around the show I have to see tonight. That's probably the center of your life. You schedule your whole week around. I got to see the game that's going to be on this weekend, or there's a concert that I got to make it to, or I got to go fishing, or that's probably what's the center. If I schedule my whole month or my whole year around the vacation that I count down to is the most anticipated thing I have in my entire life, or even just I can't wait for my break and for the people to get out of my way because I've got to play another round of Candy Crush. Or whatever it's a stupid game my mom plays with most of you. Or it's with friends. There you go. If that's what my hours are built around, then the odds are really strong that entertainment is actually the center of my life. It's what I live for. It's what I get most excited about. What I'm most passionate about. It's what I think is the most interesting thing in the world. And I may or may not make it to Sunday morning, depending on whether it conflicts with the thing I think is actually more interesting than worshiping God with my brothers and sisters. Go to a football stadium, and you see people, and they are shouting, and they're raising their hands, and they're singing, and they're excited. They're doing everything David says in Psalms you're supposed to do for God. I wonder if it happened Sunday morning for those who came. That's the center of our lives, and guess what? The world can see it. I can say I worship the Lord, but what I put on display reveals what is actually the center of my life. Guys, that means we have a constant invitation. It's the same invitation that the Israelites had. They looked like a cat. And they got to look at Moses and get this invitation from Moses to say, you have traded the greatness of God for something stupid. And that's what we do. We trade the security of God for something we can hold in our hands. We trade the power of God for something that He made anyhow. We trade God being our leader and our director for letting us do it. This is a really stupid choice. But there's always the invitation to say, God, I actually want you to be the center of my world. I want to be like Moses. I want people to look at me and say, we're not sure what happened, but you look like the God that you worship. As we continue to push into that, and that, frankly, is a daily decision. Because there's some areas of life that I put God at the center, and there's some areas of life that I don't. As we continue to walk in that decision, every place in our life, we put on display to our family, our friends, our coworkers, to our enemies, the God who we worship. Let's pray together. As we come before our God today in prayer, I want to invite you to respond to the Lord as He has been speaking, as we've been looking at this passage. Or maybe you need to come before God and just say, Lord, I want to look at Moses. I want my very being to reflect your glory. I want to be so transformed by you that I don't even see it, but the whole world knows that I love you. That's a prayer that God's happy to answer, so you can ask that. You're here this morning and you say, Lord, I know for a fact that I don't look to you for reward or comfort or security. I don't look to you for a definition of my significance. I don't look to you to direct my life. You can fill in that blank. And confess that to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And ask Him to show you what it looks like to put Him at the center as you replace that idol with the only one who belongs there.